I'm Elliot and I lost my friend James to suicide in 2009.
I'm Johnny and I lost my brother Simon to suicide back in 2014.
I'm Adam. I lost my friend PV to suicide in January 2008. Stephen Pemberton Viles, or PV as most of his friends knew him. I didn't know him for an awful long time, to be totally honest with you. We met in college. Whatever kind of person you were, you got along with this guy and he made you happy and he made you laugh when you were around him. When he'd done his ankle and he was on his crutches, he was still in the rave, holding his crutches in the air at the back, and he was just a special kind of guy, man.
And my brother was called Simon. He was 36 years old and he was just a normal sort of everyday person. There was nothing that sort of made him stand out from the crowd. He was also like the archetypal older brother. He was sort of the perfect person that you wanted to influence your life at every turn.
James, he was an aspiring drum and bass DJ, but to us he was a Palace fan that came along to meetups, and he was a member of the forum that we were on.
Our interaction around football mainly used to be, he was a Chelsea fan, I was a Manchester United fan. So we always had that little bit of rivalry, that little bit of banter about us. We played football together as well when he wasn't on his crutches.
So Simon took me to my first football match when I was 11 years old. It was an auto windscreens shield match between Preston and Darlington, and it was a 3-3 draw that went to extra time and golden goal, I think. So my whole life and the way I interacted with Simon and the way I sort of bonded with him and got to know him was through football.
We'd asked him to be a part of our team on a Sunday. You know how it is on Sundays. Don't care if you're not registered, use someone else's name. Doesn't matter about that, just come down, be a part of it. Saturday night, I've rang him, no answer, text him, make sure you're up in the morning. Ring him in the morning, no reply, but he was supposed to come and play football with us that day, and that was not long before I found out.
Well, I'm a member of Holmesdale.net, which is the Palace fan site. I've been a member since 2002, so this is, I guess, how I first got talking to him. And in 2009, I think it was, that's where I found out that he'd killed himself. There was a notice put out, and I just remember it's just shock, because the guy seemed so sort of confident in himself.
I can remember like vividly how I found out. I was sat at home on my own, on the sofa on a Sunday morning, watching a rerun of Match of the Day, getting the telephone call from my sister, and just remember hearing the words that Simon had died. It was just devastating. I think I was sat on the sofa, and then when she told me, I was straight on the floor, just in tears, just trying to work out what had happened and not really knowing what to say back to her, because she was obviously in pain and grieving herself, and to have to deliver that news is something that you would never want to do, especially, you know, siblings all talking to each other.
And then it just makes you think, like, were there any signs you missed, or could you have spoken to him about something, or could you have seen something in him?
There were people that I'd not spoken to in years who I was speaking to about it, going, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. He seemed like a normal guy. Like, he didn't seem like depressed. And I guess maybe this is part of the problem, is that people don't talk about it.
The last match that my brother and I went to was Preston Oldham back in 2014. And there was the chance to sit there and speak to him about what was going on in his life. But he just didn't seem sad at that moment.
We will show all these emotions in football, grabbing people we don't know, hugging them, sharing these moments with them. But then when you think about it, that environment should be easier than to talk about your problems, shouldn't it? If you're sharing all these, but it's not.
I think sometimes men just want to escape, and talking about your emotions, talking about how you're feeling, that doesn't feel like an escape. Talking about football, it is an escape. It's an escape from life, and it's an escape from your feelings inside your head.
I think anyone that had spent time with Simon the year before it happened knew that he wasn't in the best place, and he perhaps wasn't the person that we'd known for the 35 years beforehand. Maybe just for a few seconds that Sunday morning when he took his own life, things just got on top of him, and that was the only option he could see If he could have spoken to someone or could have made contact with someone or he could have put into words how he was feeling, then he would still be here.
You know, when you get something off your chest, it is usually not as bad as you imagined it in your head or whatever. The main thing is just to talk to someone, whether it's your best mate, whether it's your football manager, whether it's the bloke you sit next to on the coach every week going to away days. It is a big issue, and it will only get a bigger issue amongst men and in the footballing community if you don't talk about it.